The midpoint formula is used to find the exact center point between two defined points in a line segment. The midpoint between 2 points x sub 1, y sub 1, and x sub 2, y sub 2 is expressed in this formula. The first one is just the average of the x coordinates. So you have x sub 1 plus x sub 2 divided by 2. And for the y coordinates, we have y sub 1 plus y sub 2 divided by 2. Now for the first example, find the midpoint of 2, 7, and 4, 3 using the midpoint formula. The first thing to do is to get the first x, which is x sub 1, and the second x, which is x sub 2. So for the first example, we have 2 and 4. Okay? Next would be for the y coordinates. So we have y sub 1, or the first y is 7, and y sub 2, or the second y is 3. So we have 7 plus 3. And then, both will be divided by 2. Next, let us simplify. So 2 plus 4 is 6. Just copy the denominator, which is 2. And then, next would be 7 plus 3 is 10. Then copy 2. Next step would be divide. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. And 10 divided by 2 is 5. And there we got the midpoint, which is 3, 5. For our checking, let us try to plot these points. 2, 7 is located at this point, and 4, 3 is here. And then its midpoint is here. And the coordinates are 3 for x and 5 for y. So that's how you solve for the midpoint using the midpoint formula as well as using the Cartesian plane itself. Next, find the midpoint of -1, -5, and 3, 5. So our first entries here, or our x coordinates, are -1 and 3. Add them up and later divide it by 2. Next, for our y coordinates, our first y is -5 and the second y is +5. So -5 plus 5, then later divide it by 2. Next, simplify. -1 plus 3 is equal to +2. And -5 plus 5 is equal to 0. Just copy the denominator of both fractions. We have 2. And then the next step would be division. So divide 2 divided by 2 is just 1. And 0 divided by 2 is 0. And that's it. So we have our midpoint, which is at 1, 0. Now that's how you get the midpoint using the midpoint formula. Let's proceed to getting the midpoint using the Cartesian plane. -1, -5 is here. The next point is 3, 5 here. Now let's connect these 2 points and then find its center point, or the midpoint itself, and that's here. Okay, the coordinates of this midpoint, for x it is 1 and for y it is 0. So the same, we have the midpoint, which is 1, 0. Now for a third example, solve the midpoint of -4, 9 and -2, 5. Our x coordinates are -4 and -2, so let's just substitute first. So we have -4 plus -2 over the constant, which is 2. Next, our y coordinates, 9 plus 5 over 2. And then simplify. So -4 plus -2 is -6. Copy over 2. And then 9 plus 5 is 14. Later, we'll divide it by 2. Next, divide. -6 divided by 2 is -3. And 14 divided by 2 is 7. In other words, the midpoint of -4, 9 and -2, 5 is at -3, +7.